Why, hello, greetings and salutations, my friends. I am Dave, but I'm going to bring a new personality to you today. I always dreamed of being a little bit like Bill Nye the Science Guy, but that's already been taken. So I'm going to kick it up a notch. I don't just do science, I do everything. I teach you about all manner of crazy things in the world, and so I'm going to call myself Dave plus the Omnibus. Very good. And what are we going to learn about today? Frogs. That's right. All manner of frogs, whether they are little stuffed animals or, this is the fun part, we're going to unbox this dissection kit. Okay, so we have our little Dissect-It kit, the synthetic dissection kit, and you might think, why synthetic? I want to go all natural. And actually, you're right. You know what is a great way to learn about living things? Cutting them open, and that's called dissection. But maybe it's a little bit messy, or maybe you think it's a little bit unethical to do that. And so I'm going to walk you through a different kind of dissection experience today. And it's the Dissect-It kit. Do you think that's a good idea, Charlotte? Yes, I do. That's Charlotte talking, in case you're wondering. That's not me, that's Charlotte. Hello there, my name's Charlotte and I'm a frog. Hey, Charlotte, how do you feel about me doing synthetic dissections? Dissections, I should say. Oh, I think that's great. Let's get to it. All right, let's do it. Here we go. We have the dissection kit. I talked about it. It's for people ages 6 years and older. And what are some other exciting things about this? It is our frog lab, Grenouille au labo. Oh, that's French for frog lab. And you're going to learn some interesting facts about frogs, which I am hopefully going to teach you. And, there's also no sharp edges, which is very important, although there are choking hazards. So do not put it in your mouth. Are we ready to open this? Yes, we are. Okay, we're going to open it up. My experience of opening it, I'll talk to you as I go through it. Well, it's a box. Yeah, I guess that's not... Oh, we're unboxing it. There's some tape on this side. Probably should have taken the tape off before I started unboxing. Oh, scissors! Look at this. Okay. Sweet. All right, here we go. Bonjour, Monsieur Grenouille. Hello, Mr. Frog. Whoop. And most important thing ever, we've got a little dissection. Explanations of different things. So we're going to talk about this. So here's our frog. We have... What do we get with this? We got frog refill powder, green refill powder. I don't know what the green refill powder is for, but we have frog green refill powder. I don't think a real frog comes with refill powder. We have the actual frog himself. You get a scalpel and a probe. I always love the blunt probe. Okay. So let's take it apart and talk about the different things. So here we go. Got our scalpel. And it's not sharp. Have you been filming me there? Ow, I've cut myself and now I am hurt. No, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Okay, my blunt probe. This is not to be used for probing blunts. This is something you can point at things with. So you point at things and it's not sharp, although it would poke you in the eye. So I wouldn't necessarily try that one. Okay, let's get back to Froggy. And let's look at, ooh, that just comes off there. And we've got the frog inside a little cellophane wrap. So we're gonna rip this off. Oh, it feels definitely very solid in there. I wonder if you know what? I'm gonna use the scalpel to cut this open. Very good. I was like, the scalpel's not very sharp, but I guess that's the whole point of the scalpel, isn't it? Ooh. Ooh, it's slimy. Okay. So remove the frog from the mold and face it belly up. Okay. So, how do I remove the frog from the mold? Let's see here. You're in there. How do I get you out of there? I think I know what this is. This is like Jell-O, and the frog is actually inside of Jell-O. Oh my gosh, we're actually dissecting this guy. Okay, I have to get him out of here somewhere. We have removed the bottom of the casing, and we can now pop the froggy out of the gel, and we've got a little tray here, so we do not make a mess. Now, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try cutting through the, the first cut goes like this. So I go straight down from the base of the skull to the pelvis, which is where the hip bones join together. Does he even have a pelvis? I guess he kind of has a pelvis, but it's where your hip joins your spine. And this is the pelvis. It looks totally different from our pelvis is kind of contracted more. But he has like a much longer pelvis, and I think I know why. It's because he needs a lot more spaces to attach these gigantic muscles. He's got really big leg muscles because they can really jump. Okay, so we're gonna make the first cut. The first cut is the deepest. The first cut is the deepest. Don't you know? Oh, wow. Cutting through the skin. Now there's some things I notice about this frog. It smells a little bit like green apples. And this Jell-O is like, this jelly is making me want to eat it. You never want to eat the frog when you're dissecting it. Like, maybe you do, but I've never ever wanted to eat something I was dissecting, but I kind of want to eat this. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so we've got, it looks like this is very thin, and it is true, like when you cut into it, cuts really easy. And this is actually true. When you dissect a frog, amphibian skin cuts much easier than other organisms. So beneath the skin, you will find the skeletal system. So I'm gonna cut this open like this. I'm gonna cut like along here, boom. I'm gonna cut along here, boom. I'm gonna cut along here, boom. I'm gonna cut along here, boom. Getting in the way with my left hand. Then we're gonna just kind of like peel back the skin. Peeling back the skin. Now, one thing that would be definitely different in a frog, I've exposed some organs. What would definitely be different, I'm also cutting it the wrong way. They told me they want me to cut in the belly, and I'm cutting along the back. So we're gonna do all of this backwards. Cutting off this, cutting out this, oop. Now we've exposed his whole back. And it's so true, when you do a dissection, you would never actually start from the back. So what was I thinking, Dave? Come on, Dave. Want to flip it over and see the belly? Let's go. Okay, we're gonna do the whole thing from this end. Going from the base of the skull. Boom. That's where its tongue is. Look how big the tongue is. Frogs have gigantic tongues because they shoot them out to like eat insects. So here we go, cutting into the belly. Okay, cutting open. Ooh, if I cut along here, nothing really happens. Oh, it cuts deep. I don't know how, does it look cool? Ryrat, does it look cool? Because it looks like it's really fun to cut in here. Do you want to try cut? Give it a cut-see. Tell me that's not kind of satisfying. It's actually, it's more satisfying than cutting an actual thing. Not that like I'm like, oh, I love cutting things, but no, there's a real, like, it's interesting when you do a dissection. So, and I'm always doing it this way because I've always kind of done it this way, where you just kind of create like a little flap like this. and then you can kind of peel it open and you've got like a window to the world, as it were. But this is not as easy with this. But, oh, we did it. We've peeled back. Are we going to peel back all the skin? Let's do it. We're peeling back the skin. I wrote a song about this. I'm peeling back the skin. Look at this, eh? It's like little hands in there. You don't really think about it, but like it's a skeleton. So it's got its little fingers, little froggy fingers. We're gonna cut back that. We're gonna release the skeleton of the hand. Ooh. Tell me this doesn't look dope. I guess you could. I guess you could be like, this doesn't look dope. But then I'd know you were lying. The smell is, it's interesting because there's always a smell associated with dissection, but how would you describe it? It's a little bit chemically. I don't think we're supposed to eat this stuff, but I can't believe that you wouldn't be tempted. So we're going to cut this open and we're going to look at all the different parts here. We're going to get the skeleton out. So, oh, jawbone. Oh, look at that. Ooh, very impressive. Oh, his head skin is falling off, Jelly. Riley, it's like jelly. Rat. It's like jelly. Well, let's cut off this, cutting into this. Now, here's the thing. That came off super easy. Not gonna lie, in a real frog, this would be a little bit harder because all of this would be muscle tissue as opposed to skin. Now we're gonna cut open here and gonna do a little bit of identification of parts. I mean, these are bones, right? But what do we think this big red thing is? Right in the middle. What is it? Who knows? We're going to come back to that in just a sec. What about number 3? This one here. What do you think is in there? Oh, what's down here? Some bones. 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 Urgh. Hey, we've cut that out. Now we can go to the back. We're going to go to the back. This all here, it actually has a name in science. You know what we call all this stuff? Soft tissue. So what is soft tissue? Well, it's any part of your body that's not bone. And so this is all soft tissue, and Rat, I can see you. Oh, look at that, eh? Getting in there with the feet. I can tell you, Rat, this soft tissue is beautiful. Oh, wonder what that is. Oop, get some of this jelly out of here. Oop. Now, is it possible that between your internal organs you might have like gunk? 150%. In fact, it's called visceral fat. And I'm not gonna lie, you don't want a lot of visceral fat. It's probably a bad idea to have a lot of visceral fat. It's not healthy. This frog, it doesn't necessarily have visceral fat, but... Oh, I'm gonna use this blunt probe here. Why are you using the blunt probe, Dave? Because sometimes a blunt probe is good for like scraping away stuff that you don't wanna like wreck too much with a sharper scalpel. So you see how I'm kind of cleaning off the pelvis. We've got these different body parts. Oop, oop, oop. Now, on the top here, you can see... Now, somebody once asked me a question, how do frogs smell? And I said, terrible. Actually, they smell using their nostrils. And even things like fish have nostrils, which is crazy. They don't use those nostrils for breathing. They just use them to kind of smell. So that allows them to detect chemicals in the water. And here we go. We've got different organs in here that I'm going to rip out. And oh, let's start at the top. The mouth opens. And we have this, which is the jaw, okay? And at the bottom, all this stuff is muscle. Allows you to open and close, but also the tongue attachment in there as well. You've got, oh, all sorts of jelly inside the mouth. Now this here is the, well, it's the brain and eyes. Let's see in there. What? Let's get some of this jelly off the brain. So this is everyone's favorite part of the dissection. They always want to cut open the skull and see what's in the brain. So everyone's, and I'm not gonna lie, it's usually pretty disappointing. Do you see that little pink, I'm touching it with the probe there? That is the brain. And if you're gonna tell me, gee Dave, frogs don't have a big brain. They kinda don't. They kinda don't have a big brain. And the other thing that's tough whenever you try and cut open the skull to see the brain is the skull's really hard. The brain is basically like spongy. You know what the brain is like? It's like chocolate mousse, if you've ever had that dessert. That's the texture of brain. So by the time you get to the brain, it's all like this. It's like just mashed up. It's very hard to get a solid brain out of a dissection that you're doing. Although when you do it, it's interesting to note that the brain is usually kind of smooth, whereas a human brain has all sorts of wrinkles. And the more wrinkly your brain, the more you're capable of higher level thought, or so the theory goes. So if somebody calls you a smooth-brained rat, they're not really being nice. Now this is the skeleton, all right? And talk to you about a couple of different parts. These things here, and we have them too, are called the scapula, okay? Shoulder bones, and they're these flat bones that run along our back, okay? We have the spine. We have things called the vertebrae of the spine. We have some arms. Let's get some arms in here. Now, do you want to hear the funniest bone in the body? Because here's the thing, all these bones that I'm showing you on a frog, they're on a person too. They have the same name. So this is the funniest bone. It's actually called the funny bone. It's the humerus. And right there is a nerve. And if you hit your elbow just right, that nerve gets tingly and super painful, and you say you've hit your funny bone. You ever hit your funny bone, rat? Yeah, that happens. Now this is the radius and this is the ulna, and these are actually two bones in your wrist, and because there's two of them, we can kind of twist our wrist like that, side to side. So that motion we can only do because we have two bones in here. We actually have a similar structure in our feet. Now, you may do trivia one day and you'll get a question, how many fingers does a frog have? 4. How many toes? 4? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 toes and 4 fingers. Why? I don't know. Big mystery of life. Okay, let's get back down here. You've got ribs here. Now, why does a frog have ribs? Why does anyone have ribs? It protects the stuff that's underneath it. So there's some important organs that are located underneath the ribs. The ribs protect our internal organs. And some internal organs need to get bigger and smaller, like our stomach. So they're actually located outside of our rib cage for that reason. Okay. Now, we have our pelvis here. We have this bone here, which is called the femur. It's the thigh bone. It's the biggest bone in the body. It's super hard to break. And little gross story, when I was a soccer player, I was a goalie, and the goalie on the other end of the field broke his femur. And when I heard the sound, I thought it was either a gunshot or a car backfiring because it was so incredibly loud from 100 meters away. Femur, huge bone. This is the shin bone, the tibia, and you've got your heel here and your little feetsies. So there's your bone structure, and let's not forget the skull, right? So look inside the skull. I'm gonna remove the brains. You've got eyes. You've got your little tiny brain here, little smooth brain. You got your eyes looking out. Now, frogs have binocular vision. Why do you have two eyes? Because it actually allows you to see in 3 dimensions. If you only had one eye, you wouldn't be able to see how far things were away. So if you had one eye and you were a frog, you'd always be trying to eat stuff and missing. You'd always be like, trying to get at that, you're trying to get at that, you're trying to get a little bug, and you're missing all the time. Okay, so are we ready to move on to internal organs? Yes, we are. Okay, let's clean off some of this. You can see the rib cage is still imprinted here. We're getting rid of what I'm declaring to be visceral fat. Now, frogs have lungs, but they also can breathe through their skin. And if you're like, what do you mean by that? What I mean is this. These are the frog's lungs. It's interesting. They look like little baggies, right? They look like little bags, and they fill with air, and gas exchange occurs there. But, and I've cut it all off, the frogs have a second breathing organ. It's their skin. So frogs can actually do skin breathing. They can breathe directly through their skin, which is kind of crazy, kind of interesting. Okay. Now, the next is the liver. This is what a frog's liver looks like. It's weird because I'm expecting it to be red. Livers are usually red because they're filled with blood. This little thing on the back is called the gallbladder, which stores this green fluid called bile, which tastes exactly like soap. And it's actually something our digestive system produces to help us to break down fat. So this helps us to digest fat. There's maybe the liver there. So we've got the liver. Also, oh, my bad. This is why it's also like, there's your liver there. Okay, that's your liver. That's your gallbladder. We also have pancreas and spleen. So one of the, and the pancreas is this stuff here, and it produces insulin, which helps us to regulate sugar levels. And then the spleen. This might be the spleen. Sorry for not knowing this. This might be the spleen. Or this might be the spleen. And it produces red blood cells, amongst other things. Also, as hockey players are always getting their spleens ruptured. This is a stomach. And as you can see, the stomach sort of hangs down outside of the rib cage. So if you eat like a big fly, it can sort of sit in there. And that's why your stomach can get bigger, it can expand. But if it was trapped within the rib cage, you couldn't do that. And the last is the heart. And if you remember from my heart dissection video, I talked about a heart having 4 chambers, but this heart only has 2 chambers. 3 chambers. Blood comes up in here, and then it pumps down, and it slooshes out one way or slooshes out the other way. And that is everything that you need to know about this. Let me see if we can talk about, here. Let's talk about, can we go back to, wait a minute. Ryrat. This is it, actually. This is the heart. This little bit is the heart. This makes sense. This is the liver. Okay, let's start over again. This is the heart. This is the liver. It collects blood back from the body on this side and pumps and back from the lungs on this side. And it pumps out with this muscle here. So the blood collects in here, then it pushes down here, and then it squirts out, and it comes out of this vessel and squirts through the whole body. This is the liver. The liver, super, super important for digesting food, breaking down nutrients, storing nutrients, breaking down toxins. TBH, our liver is probably our most important organ. And did you know it grows back? I could cut out like almost all of this liver from this frog and it would grow back. Yeah, he might die, but it would, if he didn't, it would grow back. Let's talk a little bit about Oh, can I tell you something that's crazy? When frogs hibernate, their metabolism almost comes to a complete stop. And what I'm saying is this: don't need any more oxygen. Heart doesn't pump anymore. The liver basically shuts down. Like the whole internal system shuts down, and they absorb oxygen through their skin, which is what I was trying to get at before. They're skin breathers. So they absorb oxygen through their skin. Now, let's look in the back here. We got our gallbladder. We have our pancreas. And then this little bit up here is the spleen. Okay? And then all of this stuff in here that's connecting everything is called the mesentery. And these little things on the back are the, oh, here we go. Yeah. On the back here, we have the ovaries. I thought this was a girl frog. We have the ovaries, and then we have some fat bodies that lay over them to keep them insulated. Okay. We also have over here the lungs, as I mentioned before. We have the stomach, as I mentioned before. We have the brain and the eyes, okay? And here's the thing that's interesting. They don't have big brains, but they have big eyes. So what does that tell us? Most of what their brain does is controlling their eyes, okay? So this little brain really focusing on vision. Why? Because if you're a predator, you need to be able to see. So vision, super important for predators underwater. Not as important for predators underwater, smell. They can smell a little bit, but it's not as big a deal for them. And the last thing I want to mention when I talk about the frog, as I put everything back together, we're going to put everything back together in the froggy, just to remember it. Just give me a second here. I'm going to my froggy page. Okay, so we start with the lungs, okay? And the lungs attach onto the heart. Maybe, yeah. I'm attaching them the wrong way? No, wait. Does the heart attach to the lungs? Like this? Yeah, I think it was maybe this way. What? The lungs snap onto the torso. Let's try this over again. Here we go. The lungs snap onto the torso, like so. Boom. The heart. Oh, wait, the liver. This is not really the liver, but it's sort of the liver. It snaps on in here. Boom. And there's your gallbladder, your pancreas. Okay. Next thing we're going to pop over onto that is we're going to pop the stomach on. Boom. And look at how the stomach hangs, right? So the stomach hangs below the rib cage, so the food can go in here and you can fill up your belly down there, so your belly can get super fat. You can eat lots of stuff. Then what are we putting in next? We're popping in the heart, which also had lungs on it, which totally threw me off. Heart and lungs going back in there. You've got to have heart. You've also got to have lungs. You got to have some heart and lungs. Da-da-da. What are we missing, Rat? We're missing the arms and all this stuff. So we're going to snap it all together. All within the safety of the rib cage. So look at what the rib cage is doing. It's protecting the heart. Not the liver, because the liver can get bigger in the stomach. And this little thing here, we've got one of these things here. It's called our sternum. Okay? Now, is there more? Is there more? Yes, there is more. We are going to snap in the head. And I'm actually going to just put it all in one big chunk, but you can definitely take these parts apart. Oh, let's take them apart. Let's do it this way. Boom. So, this is actually called the cranium, the skull, okay? You might be like, well, what about the jaw? Well, the jaw is part of it, but the jaw is actually a mandible And is it mandible? No. Jawbone. There was like a guy who slayed all these people with the jawbone of an ass, and I always thought that was funny, but it was actually a donkey. The donkey's jawbone. Okay. I thought it was funny because he said the word ass. All right, and there we go, snapping in the brain and the eyes and everything in there. We have a hole for our eyes, but it's better developed, right? Throwing in the jawbone. Boom. Thank you for watching my dissection, you monster. Why didn't you try and save me? I'll save you. Thank you. Meow.